Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Tuesday, the 2nd of April. Starting off with the FTSE 100, where despite all the best efforts of all those concerned trying to keep the market down and talk it down, looks like we might finally get to record highs. The reason for saying that is that we've got a nice little bull flag breakout there through the 79.70 area and above that looking for 81.30 at the top of that rising trend channel from December as soon as the end of this month. If you're excited about the bigger picture here, then it could be that in this quarter we hit the top of that rising 2007 trend channel heading for 8,500. So that takes us to maybe the end of June for that to happen, barring all the people talking down the market, as I said before. In terms of the downside, if we break back below recent support around the 78.90 area, then the next level down would be 77.90. But we are hoping that this is the big one in terms of the UK index breaking out. Moving along to the DAX, which has already been in record territory for ages and ages. And here you can see that we've got this rising trend channel from October. And here, this market heading for the top of that channel there as high as 19,000. We're looking for that by the end of this month or even sooner. We can even take away that intermediate red target line that we had. And there you can see the ascent in all its glory. In terms of the downside, not expecting anything worse than recent support, recent March support, that is around 17,900. If there is a breakdown, a rug pull, etc., then it would be down towards the 50-day moving average, currently around 17,400, which is also the area of the floor of that rising trend channel. But while we're in that channel, still looking for 19,000 by the end of this month. Moving on to the Dow, which had a little bit of a rug pull to start the new quarter, still above the floor of that rising trend channel from back at the beginning of October. That's 39,200. While we're above that, then still looking for a 40,000 plus target. In fact, the top of that rising trend channel from October heading for 41,600, which I suppose would be an end of Q2 target. In the meantime, for the end of April, if we're lucky, then we're heading for that September resistance line projection at 40,600. Worst at the moment is the 50-day line around 38,700 if we do break down. Moving on to Bitcoin, and even here there's been a bit of a rug pull as well, heading back towards the floor of that rising trend channel from January. There's a risk of a move down towards the 50-day line, that's 62,700. And then we can work out how low this market's going to go if it's going to go down. Ideally, we rebound on the right side of 60,000. The real resistance now around 71,500 or 71,600, which would be the trigger, above which would be the trigger for a move to 8,000 plus by the end of this month. Obviously, this is the month where we have the halving, so plenty of action potentially to come here. The other point to note is the RSI has fallen below neutral 50, it's 48, so that does suggest that we might be due a period of weakness towards the 60,000 zone. On to gold, which over the long weekend actually hit our target line there. That was up to 2270. In fact, it's now up to 2280 there. That remains the target, 2280, while we're above recent support there for this market, 2210, and expect the market sort of gyrate between those two levels. The old high from last month, 2246, ideally becomes new support ahead of a retest of the 2280 resistance zone. If you're a fan of the metal and looking for even greater glories, then the next level up above 2280 would be the line of resistance I'm drawing at the moment, which is actually going to 2380, so that could be a best case scenario target for the end of this month while we're above that 2246 handle. We do break down, not expecting anything worse than 2150 on this market. Moving on to the stocks and starting off with Cadence, which seems to be still gently rehabilitating itself. Here we need to break that line of resistance there from back in May. That's around 5.75. Above that, then looking for a retest of last month's resistance around 6.75. The key is to note here whether the 50-day line is starting to turn up, which hopefully it will do over the next few sessions. On to 88 Energy, which seems to be sort of something of a clickbait stock for people, even now, even after all the pain we've been through. We've had an unfold gap to the upside today, which is normally a good signal, especially as it comes after the gap down that we had back in November. So it's a bear trap island reversal, and looking for up to 0.5 by the end of this month, while we are above the 50-day line of 0.7. Ideally, we stay above, or we close above the 200-day moving average of 0.31 today to give us our 0.45 by the end of next month. Onto a type of stock which I don't normally look at, but the excitement is palpable. Here you can see the shares of First Development delivering us another bear trap island reversal, so gapping down in November and gapping up to start April. That suggests that we've got a proper reversal on our hands, and looking for £2 on this stock by the end of this month, as soon as the end of this month, while we remain above recent neckline resistance around £1.44. Ideally, we stay above today's intraday low, 1.46, ahead of that move to £2, which does, I have to say, sound a little bit punchy. Moving on to Genedrive, where there have been plenty of false dawns in terms of potential turnaround, but got another one today, a bear trap reversal from below the March support there at 3.3 pence above that. Looking for the 50-day moving average area around 5 pence, hopefully sometime later this month. A nice key reversal to the upside on Thursday off the lows, and so therefore a bit more credibility to the turnaround, is adding to the bullish divergence that we have there. So lower price there, but higher RSI floor on the shares. Moving on to gold and metal resources, where some people, perhaps just me, are waiting for a massive grant from the US government. But in the meantime, the company's got its own news regarding Pilot Mountain, and we've got the shares bouncing from below the sharply rising 50-day moving average around 14.1 pence. The longer we stay above the 14 pence area, the greater the chance of a move to 22 pence, perhaps as soon as the end of next month. Be cautious, you'll probably wait for an end-of-day close through that resistance line there, currently at 15 pence. About 15 pence would give us the 22 pence by the end of May, hopefully coinciding with some news. Moving on to Hummingbird, which has been in the wars of late, and what's interesting here is whether the rising gold price will offset the sentiment surrounding the company's operational issues. Here we still have that falling trend channel from back in July. We bounced off it back at the end of last month, but we've got a higher low above the floor there around 4.75 pence, and the longer we have that high low there, the greater the chance of a move back to the 7 to 8 pence zone, which was the former support area for the shares. Moving on to IMU Pharma, where the shares continue to make decent progress. And we have already identified the shares back at the beginning of last month as a bear trap gap reversal. In fact, it was a bear trap island reversal. We gapped down and gapped up. Initial target was hit 1.5 pence. Second target hit around 2.5 pence. And now we're looking for the shares to hit up to 4 pence, maybe as soon as the end of this month. Upside valid, at least while we're above the 200-day line there at 1.84 pence. Moving on to another winner here from the Bulletin Board Heroes charting capabilities. Here you can see that we had our first target here hit at 4.8 pence again, second time this year, and above that we're looking for up to 7.3 pence for Orosur by the end of this month, or even sooner, especially given the way that looks as though both the 50 and the 200-day lines are both rising at the moment. So it's effectively a golden cross situation. Interesting to see Orcadian today. Here the shares have gone up 14 pence, which I suppose is the least they could have done given the completion of their farm out. Interesting that the shares were near the 30 pence area in October when the this kind of news came through, and so surprising that we're only about a third of that level now. Waiting for an end of day close through the 50-day moving average around 10.75 pence to at least get us up to 14 or 15 pence, hopefully later this month, backed by that unfold gap to the upside that we have had today. On to Pantheon, where the charting situation seems to be looking interestingly strong, let's say. Rising trend channel there from November, bouncing off that channel quite regularly, now 25.5 pence, and looking for 33 pence later this month as the shares zigzag within that channel. Ideally, actually, we'd get a move back towards the 40 pence area by the end of this month. given how long the shares have been consolidating, given how well both the 50 and 200-day moving averages are both rising. On to Phoenix Copper, where there was exciting charting news, or about as exciting as charting gets. Here we've got the 50-day, shares above the 50-day moving average for the first time since December, which is actually quite a long time now, and may be significant in terms of potential news flow and sentiment. What you can also see is that last week we had the hammer candle, and on Thursday, shares opening at the low, closing at the high, and threatening to do the same thing again today. Initial target here, 13.5 pence. Above that, actually, we're looking for the 200-day line in the 20 pence area. Maybe the next level up is 17, but let's go for the 200-day line on this if we break through 13.5. Ideally, obviously, no price action back below the 10 pence level. Onto a stock which changed its name, and means that one has to sort of think twice about what the company's doing at the moment. But here we have the former NFT with its initial target there around 4.1 pence. Next target, hopefully by the end of this month, as high as 5.75, while we're above the 50-day line at around 3.2 pence. So let's see if the shares step up to the plate. Nice gap higher for the stock today to add to the gap higher that we had back in December. Requested stock next, one that comes from the not so glamorous an area, but here we have strip thinning with a big contract win and gap higher. But what we really want to see here is the shares back above the 50-day line at 40 pence. If they can do that, then it would be a move to the 50 pence area, which is post-November resistance, and the 200-day moving average, but it might be worth waiting on that, given that the shares haven't exactly flown on today's news yet. Finishing off with Thor Explorations, where we've got quite a nice setup, V-shaped bull flag breakout, so a U-shaped bull flag breakout, breaking 13.9 pence above that, looking for up to 17.5 pence by the end of this month, hopefully a bit sooner than that, which is the top of that broadening triangle from October, and also would fill that gap down that we had at the beginning of October. The other plus point is the way the 50-day line is now rising, and we've also had 4 candles in a row where the shares have opened up at the low and closed at the high. So very strong price action. In fact, we've had that really there since the end of February. So it looks like the re-rate there finally coming through. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.